Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video we are looking the two very important topics from the ancient Indian history, Bhagvatism and the Mahajanapadas, and looking at how religion, society, economy and politics are intertwined during the formative era. To begin with, Bhagvatism, also spelled Bhagvatism, was one of the earliest devotional sects in ancient India, marking a major shift in religious thought. Centered largely in the region of Mathura, Bhagavatism emphasized devotion or bhakti to a personal deity rather than relying complicated Vedic sacrificial rituals. Over time, the figure of Vasudeva, a hero from Vrishni clan, became central to the sect. His followers called themselves Bhagavatas. Originally, Bhagavatism did not only worship a divine hero, Vasudeva was later identified with Krishna and thus merged into the larger Vedic concept of Narayan Vishnu. What's fascinating is that this movement was quite radical for its time. It rejected elaborate Vedic sacrifice and rituals, instead promoting devotion, simple worship, and moral values like truth, generosity, and non-violence. Now shifting gears to Mahajanapadas. This term refers to the great kingdoms or the large political units in northern and central India during the 6th to 4th century BCE. These were essential powerful kingdoms or republics that played a huge role in shaping early Indian political history. There were 16 of them, including Magda, Kashi, Kosala, Vaji, Vatsa, Avanti, Mala, Panchala, Chedi, Kuru, Matsya, Kamboja, Surasena, Asmaka, Gandhara, and Anga. For example, Magda has its capital as Rajgriha, Grivraj, and later Patliput, and become one of the most powerful Mahajanpada. Some of these Mahajanapadas were monarchies while others were republics governed by assemblies. For example, Vaji with its capital Vishali was a republican state made up of clans like the Lichvis. But what was the life like in the Mahajanapadas? Let's look at the political, social and economic conditions. Politically, kingship in many of these realms was both hereditary and elective. A king was sometimes called a Virat if he received Indra's annexion or Ikarat if he expanded his territory. Even with monarchy, the king did not act alone. He had to consult Brahmins, the council of ministers, Mantri Parishad, and large assembly Raj Sabha on the key decisions. In some of the republics called Ghana Sangha, the Samiti, the assembly, had significant power, and there are historical accounts of despotic rulers being forced from power by the assembly. Socially, conditions varied across regions. In many areas outside the Gangetic Plains, women enjoyed relatively more freedom and social respect. However, other social practices reflect inequality too. Caste divisions based on birth were becoming more rigid, and by the end of this period, inter-caste marriage were increasingly restricted. Polygamy and Swayamvara, a practice when a woman chose her husband in a ceremony, lost their early prominence. In the cities, life was quite sophisticated. There were walled towns like Patliput and Rajagiri with wide roads, pleasure gardens, halls for justice and entertainment, and games like dice, sword play, and music. On the religious front, the new gods were worshipped and devotion as bhakti became more common. People believed in karma, action leading to future results, and rebirth. Worship of gods like Brahma, Vishnu, Narayan, and Shiva was emerging in new forms, and more orthodox philosophical schools also started to take shape. The legal system was quite strict, and royal agents carried out civil and criminal laws, sometimes inflicting harsh punishments such as scourging or even beheading. Economically, agriculture was the backbone. Land revenue was between 1/10 to 1/6 of the produce. This meant that the farmers paid a substantial portion of their harvest as a tax. Use of iron plowshares and irrigation was common, which helped boost productivity and made famines less frequent. Trade flourished. Major ports like Bharuch, Tamralipti, and Sapora handled trade with distant lands such as Burma, Ceylon, Malaya, and even Babylonia. Merchants mainly traded silk, gold, and embroidered cloth, showing the cosmopolitan and wealthy nature of the commerce at that time. Currency also developed. People used Karshapana coins made of copper and silver. The silver variant was called Dharan, and it was about 1/10 of the value of the older Vedic Niska. Pottery also developed with the emergence of northern black polished ware, which marks the historians call the second urbanization in India. Putting all this together, you can see how Bhagvatism and Mahajanapadas period interconnected in shaping early Indian civilization. On one hand, you have a growing devotional religion that emphasizes personal connection to a supreme deity, rejecting the rigid Vedic sacrificial system. On the other hand, you have a powerful political units, some monarchic, some republican, building urban society, trade networks, and administrative systems. These political and social transformations created the fertile ground in which a devotional faith like Bhagvatism could thrive and eventually evolve into Vaishnavism. Over time, the theology of Bhagvatism, hero worship, the identification with Krishna, with Vasudeva and Narayana, and the concept of emanations laid the foundation of much later Hindu devotional practice. Meanwhile, the political and economical sophistication of the Mahajanpada era shaped a more organized and interconnected subcontinent, paving the way for later empire. That's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you want me to explore more about the Bhagvatism evolved into classical Vaishnavism, or how the Mahajanapadas gave way to empires like Magadha and later the Mauryas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.